Okay, I have the bottom part of the inside of the left socket filled in satisfactorily. Now the next thing I need to do is to continue and fill in this portion here, right where the modeling tool is, right here. And I do that again by just adding a little bit of warmed clay into the eye socket, like so. Now this has to be done carefully because this is very tender, this piece of bone here. I do not want to break it again. So I'm going to really squeeze this piece of clay down to fit in here and push it. And yes, at first it covers the frontal bones, the occipital frontal bones. And I put a little bit more inside. Use the modeling tool to place a piece of clay right in here. And I have my finger against the outside behind where the clay is being put in. Okay. Another piece, like so. What I'm looking to do, like I did on this side, is divide this bone in half, both on the outside and on the underside. And that's what I'm striving for, is a division of the bone right in half. That will create the seam going right down the middle. Okay, I'm going to continue to smooth and make this neat, and when we come back I'll be adding to the outside of this entire section here and evening it off, trimming away some clay just to make sure that we have the bones exposed on the left side as I do here on the right side. Okay, don't get me wrong, it's not always laying flat on the workboard, okay, on the project board. I have to pick it up, bend it around so I can see under here. Okay, you need to be able to see what you're doing. So you pick your whole workpiece up and you make sure that you can get to where you need to get. Now this is the clay that repaired the underside of the eye socket here. I want to make sure that it's kept away, or at least separated from the new clay that's going in. And you make that as smooth as possible. Every now and again I take a little artist brush, dip it in some rubbing alcohol, and simply come on through and smooth it and help join all this clay together with the alcohol. Just like so. And I'll continue on like this. Now I start filling in on the outside of the eye socket. Join up what's here. Okay, I need to, like I said, I need to make a dividing point. I need to make a distinct dividing line. So I go like this. And I bring this right down to the clay base. Blend the two together. I need to get my clay knife here and just gently, ever so gently, I'm going to hold my finger on the inside of the socket, and ever so gently I'm going to take my clay knife and cut along, just take pieces of clay away to create that straight line effect I'm looking for. You can use, if you're careful, you can use a X-Acto knife. You don't want to cut your fingers. You really don't want to cut your fingers. And if you've seen with me, with myself, I'm really good at cutting my fingers. Now I'm simply going to go down. I'm going to go along here. I want to trim away some of this from the center of the bone, like so. Pick this out, pull the clay along, down the center again, and just work this away now. Here we go. Now, with the modeling tool, I'll simply clean this up. Come back and press. Rather than cut any more clay, press the clay. And for that, I can even use a piece of, a little cutoff of the plywood that I've made the box with. I can simply come along and press this against the clay with my finger behind it and the wood in front, and I can get a nice flat surface. You can see here, this little bit against the skull. Come in with a cutting wire loop tool, and that's simply a flattened metal tool that has a ribbon wire, a flat wire ribbon. You can see, and it makes a nice edge for cutting along the clay. All right. Now we go back with our modeling tool and continue working this clay. I'm going to take a little bit of clay and I'm going to pinch the edge together like so and make it as thin as I possibly can. And then I want to fit that right in here. Press against the top and against the bottom piece here. Now I need to back this. See how thin this wall is right here? That needs to be backed. So I'm going to take some freshly warmed clay from under the heat lamp, under my 60-watt bulb lamp, which is a good heat lamp for clay, the soft clay, and I'm simply going to mush this soft clay in here and blend this all together. But along the bottom here, even it up. You see how it's very, very soft. Okay. I'm going to blend this in behind here. You want strength because you want to be able to hold back the silicone. And I'm going to take another little piece of clay and I'm going to create another piece of backup. Another little bit of support at the very bottom here, like so. Just like so. Again, keeping the finger on the other side to keep it from pushing through. Now, this allows me to further blend this fascia piece down in front. I want to match this side to this side. I want to match the left to the right in its appearance, in its neat appearance, being that it's straight and whatnot. You want this all to match up. And so here we go. We'll go along just like this. Bring the clay, thin it, mush it around. Now this is real soft. This is exceptionally soft and warm clay. Now I want to take something a little straighter and harder than the modeling tool. Again, little piece of this birch plywood here. With my finger against the back support, and in the front I simply push this flat, flatten a wall. Now I take my cutter, see where it's extending over the edge, and I cut down. On warm clay this works beautifully. It works fine on cold clay too, but once it's warmed, it cuts through like a warm knife through butter. And you take away a little bit at a time. You don't take away a lot. A little bit at a time. Put the extra pieces back under the light. Now, the next thing I want to do is fit the wooden box over the top. I just want to see how she lines up at this point. Press it down to the workboard. And I get a good look inside. And okay, you can see where we need to bring some clay up to the board, and some more needs to come up so I can fill this in pretty square. This comes off like so. Put this aside. And I'm just going to continue to smooth the clay and add to it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is move clay that's here, just move it around. Just kind of move it around. Move it down into place, bring it up into place. Now smooth it with some rubbing alcohol on an artist brush. Like so. Clean any excess clay off the bone. You don't want to have little bumps on the surface of your bone that were residual pieces of clay when you pour your silicone. Okay. You see how nice and neat this is here. All neat and pretty. All neat and pretty. Okay, we have match on both sides here. Now I just gotta bring this in tight against the bone here. We want no gaps. No gaps that the silicone can leach under. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add some more to the side and then across the top, and then block that in so it will fit the box. Let me show real quick what I'm doing here. I'm taking a little bit of warmed clay. I rolled it between my hands. I don't really need to roll it out with a rolling pin for what I need. I'm just going to simply take this piece of scrap piece of plywood. That's why I never throw away any pieces of boards or walls when I cut them to make boxes. All right, and I'm going to press it down so that it's flat against the board, and then flat on both sides. I'm going to take my little cutter, my big cutter. I'm simply going to cut a straight line, like so. Now this clay is still very, very warm, so the nice thing is you can take it, the warm clay, and just put it right in place, like so. Okay, and while it's still nice and warm, excuse me, blend it in with a modeling tool. Just finding the right one I want to use. Just blend it in like so. I'm pushing forward on it here a bit and blending. Blend, 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 blend. And at the top, blend again. I'm just going to kind of squash this over a bit Well, it's going to come away. I mean, it's warm clay. You can always reposition it where you want it. Like so. And when this cools a bit, I will come in with the my clay cutter and cut this down so that it will fit in nice and tight across here. I'm going to get another piece of clay. I'm going to blend it to the top here. Whoops. Sure I will. Alright, here we go. I'm going to blend this all together like so. Blend it in. I want to make sure she's straight up and down. You want it to be plumb. True and plumb. Now on the back side, I'm going to add more support here. So I'm simply going to take some more of this clay that was cut. I'm going to add it. Just smush it all in. Now I'm going to take my time. I'm going to work this part right here, and when I come back, I'm going to cut it for you. Alright, here we go. Fingers crossed. I lean the blade of my cutter against the base, alright, and start to bring this forward. I want to make sure I'm far enough out, or I could do it from the front so I could see what the heck I'm doing. And we come down. Now I come out a little more. I'm going to work towards the base a little bit at a time. Little by little. Okay, let's see how the box fits over this. It's going to be a little tight. I can almost guarantee that. Yeah, she's a little too tight yet. Alright. You see the mark that was made here by the wooden box. Wooden box made a little mark right there. And that's as good an indication as any where this needs to be cut or sliced. I guess this thing would make an excellent cheese knife. Alright, let's try the box again, shall we? Yes, let's. Aha. Ah and ha. Now, it's got a little bit of spread to the walls of the box, so I simply push them in tight, like so. Alright. I've got this really just about what I want. Now, what you can see here, I don't know if you can actually see the angle on camera, but we have a little forward action going on the clay. It's actually leaning forward. It's going straight down and it's curving ever so gently forward. Now what I'm going to do, I'll take the box away. I'm going to go from the outside with a clay cutter. I'm going to go straight down. And I'm going to try and cut as level a slice as possible. Several little slices, but in other words, I want the wall of the silicone mold of the front, I want it to be straight up and down. I want it to be as true straight up and down as possible. Now to get this box off, because it's so tight, we simply flex the walls just a little bit, hold on to the skull and the clay divider, and tilt the box forward, bring it forward and away. And that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, we cannot use the large knife, so I'm going to use my regular clay knife to just come in and shave down carefully, little by little. Come forward. All right, much straighter in profile. Okay. Do the same thing again on this side. I already did this side once. I'm going to do it again. There we go. And another like so. Okay. Now it's a simple matter of cleaning this up. Then I'll be putting the locking keys in place, making sure that this wall is going to be as straight across and even as is humanly possible to create by hand. Don't forget, this is all handmade. No machines.